if you could wait 2 more minutes.
Yes, I will. I will.
Yes, thank you. Bonjour, Bawa, Isa.
On peut commencer.
Okay.
Okay.
Et qui a les oiseaux? Who has birds?
Oui.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So please, we are going to start. We can hear some noise at the back. Can you please switch off your microphone? Est-ce que vous pouvez tous éteindre vos micros? Est-ce que tout le monde peut éteindre son micro? Can you all switch off your microphones? Secondly, the video is a bit heavy, so sometimes, so if you can turn off your camera as well, it will be more convenient. Oui, collègues, si vous pouviez éteindre également vos caméras, vos vidéos, vos caméras, parce que parfois ça alourdit le trafic et les connexions deviennent instables. Merci beaucoup. On entend toujours les oiseaux, alors je ne sais pas où. We are still hearing birds at the back. Turn off. Thank you. So we are going to start. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased and honored to welcome you in the first virtual knowledge sharing webinar on teachers for UNESCO staff. First and foremost, I hope that each of you, as well as your families, are doing well in spite of the context. Dear colleagues, it has been more than 2 years now since so many of us met to discuss the region's priority for teachers and teaching. To bridge this gap, both IGBA and TED section in HQ are convening today's webinar to brainstorm with you on concrete actions and tangible products that are needed to best meet the needs of the region's member states. Today, we are also inaugurating the first meeting of the internal community of practice on teachers, which should enable ongoing consultation and collaboration between all professional staff working on year 5. That is precisely why we have also invited the education chiefs from 3 other regions of the world. Dear colleagues, you have all received the program of the webinar. It is relatively straightforward, but also dense. So I am counting on everyone to respect the speaking time allotted to them. As for questions, I thank everyone for asking them in the chat room. Binyam, our moderator, will take them up and read them during the question and answer sessions. Similarly, if you wish to take the floor, indicate this in the chat, and I will do my best to give you the floor when the time comes. Please note that you can also answer questions from other colleagues or send comments on what you are doing directly in the chat. The webinar will be in English only. We are sorry for that, but simultaneous interpretation was not possible. If colleagues have some questions in French, they can write them and we will do our best to translate them. Dear colleagues, without taking up any more time, I will give the floor to Yumiko Yokozeki, Director of IGBA, UNESCO IGBA, for the opening and introductory remarks. Yumiko, over to you.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, yes.
Everyone can hear. Okay, so please mute your microphone so that we don't have any echo. So welcome to virtual knowledge sharing on teachers' issues in Africa. I'm glad that a lot of people were able to join, and also 3 from other regions are joining. So I hope this will be a good start and a good example for other regions as well. And for Africa, we would like to consider this as a first meeting and continue knowledge sharing. So welcome again. We planned to have this meeting in January, February this year, but it was postponed, and then coronavirus hit us physically and also professionally, emotionally. So currently, all 54 countries have in African continent have schools closed, and in many countries, universities are also closed. So it's face-to-face learning opportunities are taken away from our learners in the continent. However, we have been talking about this crisis to be a new opportunity. I'm hoping that the post-COVID-19 Africa will be stronger, more resilient, and a more innovative continent. And I believe that the teachers' issues are going to be central for the quality of education, and the quality of education is a basis for all the good development. COVID-19 made us realize that the teachers' issues are central. Centrality of teachers' issues in the quality of education, access to education, equality and equity of education is immense. So, as a leader for education sector, cluster, and SDG and Education 2030, UNESCO has a lot to do. And we must continue teaching and learning during the school closure, and teachers must make an important role, must play an important role in this time. So we must make sure that the learning continues, and we'll be sharing our challenges, opportunities, and achievements, and the way forward. So please do consider this as a series of meetings, and then we will continue sharing and we will continue discussing. Thank you very much. Over to you, Valerie.
Thank you, Yumiko, for these opening remarks and for setting the scene for our webinar. Now, according to the program, we are moving to the presentation of UNESCO's global response to the impact of the COVID-19 on education. This presentation will be given by Boren Chakroun, the Director of the Division for Policy and Lifelong Learning System in UNESCO HQ. Boren, over to you.
Thank you, Valérie. Thank you, Yumiko. Good morning and bonjour à tout le monde. It's really a pleasure to be with you today. It's an opportunity to share, to learn, and to engage together as a teacher community within UNESCO. My presentation, I would like to share it with you. I'm trying to see if you can see it. We are also learning the how to proceed with the. I don't know if you can see it now, the PowerPoint.
Yes, we see it.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I will be doing is first of all, I think it's important to highlight the situation as of today. Most of you are looking at the monitoring that we are having globally, and obviously we know that we have more than 1.5 billion people who are affected by this, more than 63 million teachers that are concerned and affected by the situation of the school closure, and who are actively trying to support countries and trying to support their learners to achieve the continuity of learning and equitable continuity of learning. So this is something that is important. As most of you have seen, at global level, we have developed the strategy that focuses on 3 pillars. One, on how to lead the global dialogue and coalition to respond to the COVID-19. The second is how we can provide more tailored support to member states' needs. And the third one is about more generation of knowledge and mobilization of collective intelligence within the organization. So these are the 3 pillars of our global strategy, and every region is trying to layer down this at the level of the region. And we see that as a short term, meaning how to manage the crisis now, but midterm as how we will return to schools and to normal that we would need to define, and then more long-term action in terms of the support to the resilience of education system and their further development and transformation. As part of our work also, we have put a community of practices with a series of webinars. Some of you have participated actively to that. Headquarters is organizing webinars, but as you know, ICBA is organizing webinar on teachers. UIL is organizing webinar on local communities response, and other colleagues now are handling regional webinars, and maybe some of them will refer to that. For example, Latin America, Carlos is leading webinar on teachers, and there are other themes that are coming. We have also a ministerial meeting that we organized. We had a very first successful ministerial meeting with around 70 countries participated, 40 ministers, and we have created ad hoc ministerial there that we are organizing almost every 2-3 weeks, and the last one was yesterday with a focus on exams and assessments. There are different resources that you can look at, and obviously probably most of you know what we have there. Let me move to more the idea of the Global Education Coalition that I wanted to share with you very briefly. We have decided together with the other partners to set up this global coalition for three objectives. One is to synergize and avoid overlaps and coordinate among different partners. Second, enrich it and ensure that it's not only continuity of learning, but it's also equitable continuity of learning, an inclusive one, gender equal one, and this is very important. And the third, that we thought that the response to such crisis cannot be done only by the government, and that we need to involve other stakeholders like civil society, private sector, particularly the tech industry, private sector, to support the efforts and in a way work cross-sectorial and multi-stakeholder approach. So the mission is really to support member states in achieving quality, inclusive continuity of distance learning and education that every country is trying to do, and to leverage the potential and the resources that exist in different partners, public, private, and civil society. We have done through, first of all, mobilizing partners. We are trying to coordinate these partners, and it is becoming a bit heavy, and I will explain later why. And then we are trying to match the demand from countries to with the offer and the partners' contribution that is defined with them. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's about delivering continued education. Probably some of them are high-tech, meaning using online, or low-tech, using some of the mobile technology, but also no-tech approaches, meaning using media, radio, TVET, and television and TV, and trying to deliver on the ground when it is needed. So I think it's important to highlight that the solutions are not only technological solution, they are also with the classical and traditional way of doing it.
Boren, please.
Yes.
Your PowerPoint has been stopped. We cannot see it now. We see you only. I think you.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Not right now. Maybe in a few minutes. Okay, but if it's taking time, you can just go on.
I think I will rather move, because otherwise we will lose time. In any case, we will be sharing the PowerPoint after the meeting. So for now, just to tell you, we have around 80 partners that are engaged in the coalition. As I said, the composition is quite diverse. We have around 20 UN organizations, more than 15 private sector, more than 20 non-profit organizations, and then different networks and media and academia that have been joining, and some of them we are still in discussion, but we are around 80 partners with whom they confirm their participation, or we are discussing with them to join the coalition. So this is important for you to know. We have also adopted 3 global flagships regarding the global coalition. One on gender, the other one, which probably will please you, is on teachers, and the third is on connectivity. These flagships, we are working on them, and we would like to involve our colleagues in the field, but also headquarters, in shaping these global flagships. But the importance of this global flagship is how we can make more visible those thematic or those target group, and we think that teachers are really who are on the front line of this action and should be giving a premium in that. Gender is always an important area for ourselves and as UNESCO, but obviously the connectivity is another matter, because we can see that there is a wide disparities between people who have access to computers, who have access to internet, and others who have nothing. And how to solve this problem seems to us a very critical aspect. We have a website, and we have different resources that are there. You may look at them, and obviously we have the COVID-19 task force email where you can share your suggestion and question, and we will be happy to support. We have colleagues who are mobilized, including the headquarter teams, the teacher task force, the TED team. So all these colleagues are mobilized, and we work with other colleagues as well on the ground. Maybe I will stop there, and obviously if there are questions in the thread, I would be very happy to look at them and try to respond. Back to you, Valerie.
Thank you so much, Boren, for this clear presentation. Maybe I will say only a few words to the colleagues who are francophones. Chers collègues, vous pouvez poser vos questions sur le chat, par écrit. Nous, même en français, on regardera et on reviendra vers vous après au moment des réponses. Yeah. So in his presentation, Boren has presented the three objectives of the global coalition, mentioned that there are three flagships with one focusing on teachers, and you will all receive his presentation. Binyam is collecting your questions. Meanwhile, Saliu from IGBA will present the regional coordination on teachers and how the COVID-19 is taken into account in the coordination mechanism. Saliu, it's over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. Maybe I will ask Henok to put in place the presentation. Henok, please. So while the presentation is being put in place, I would like to say that I would thank you first for all your presence. And I will make a short presentation on IGBA's activities related to E5. Yes, here we have the presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Good. Excellent. So IGBA is, as you know, a category institute. I don't need to insist on the history and the personnel. Maybe the mandate of IGBA is to strengthen teacher policy and the development of Africa, in Africa. And this mission is based on two pillars, as you know, an international pillar and a continental pillar. Henok, please go back. At the international pillar, we have the Agenda 2030 and mainly the Sustainable Development Goals and SDG 4C, because we are mainly dealing with teachers. As Yumiko and Boren said, teachers are central. And at the continental level, we're working on the Agenda 2063, and especially on its implementation tool, which is SSA, Continental Education Strategy for Africa. And IGBA is coordinating with Education International, one of the clusters of this SSA, that is the cluster related to teacher development. Henok? Okay, IGBA aims at achieving two main results. First of all, the ER5, expected result 5, and expected result 10. The 5 dealing with national policies that needs to be developed or implemented according to the countries, and teacher training programs that needs to be improved in order to increase the supply of qualified and motivated teachers. And the ER10 is dealing with research and foresight and monitoring, so as to inform the SDG4 on how to get the way forward. To achieve those results, IGBA is working on three main areas, three big areas. The first one is capacity development related to teacher policy and capacity development and teacher education. The second one is coordination, partnership, and advocacy for teachers. And the coordination involves institutions, countries, and other partners. And the third area, program area, is research, foresight, and monitoring. Now coming back to SSA. To achieve the SSA, 1625, the AUC, African Union Commission, developed the Teacher Development Cluster. As I said earlier, that one is co-coordinated by ICBA and Education International. And it has several objectives, among which we can cite two: supplying Africa with enough and well-qualified teachers through some very critical actions, which go from recruiting teachers, training them initially and in service, and deploying them, motivating them, providing good working living conditions to teachers in order to enhance their status, because we need to contribute to revalorize the status of teachers, which has decreased over time, and we can witness that. And another objective, which is very critical, is building capacity of teachers for the 21st century, learning and teaching. And if we talk about 21st century learning and teaching, we obviously think of the ICT tools. And this moment is really timely, as we are facing the COVID-19 crisis and the school closures, which oblige teachers to work from home and to use some tools, be they highly technical or low technical, to conduct distance education. And to achieve those objectives, ICBA is working on priority actions. Among those actions, we have teacher professional development, standardized teacher recruitment and mobility, teacher training, social dialogue, peace and resilience building through teacher development, ICT, early childhood, TVET, and advocacy. And to put in practice those priorities, ICBA is developing many projects in many countries. And at this stage, I would take the opportunity to thank all the partners, and all the colleagues from the HQ, from the regional offices, from national offices, whose kind collaboration is of paramount importance, because they help us, carry out those projects. Now coming to challenges. While the SDG 4 and CSDA 1625 are critical for better education and teacher development, the African continent, is still facing several challenges, ranging from poor quality of education, shortage of quality teachers, limited financing for education, lack of training and teaching resources, difficult working conditions for teachers, low and often delayed remuneration, and low teacher retention, because many teachers don't feel motivated. That's why they have the tendency to leave the job. But those challenges may be considered now, currently, as minor compared to the big challenge, which is a global one, that is the COVID-19, which has led to school closures and which has obliged teachers to work from distance, as I said earlier. And to fight the effects of school closures, ICBA has taken some measures to carry out some strategic actions to fight against the effects of those school closures. One of the strategy actions ICBA has taken consists in setting in place an online platform. I have to mention or to precise that online platform was initially set for the purpose of the PVE projects. But given the seriousness of the situation, ICBA has decided to open the use of that platform to all teachers. Be they acting in the framework of PVE projects or not, all teachers can get access to that platform to share information, to access to information in order to better do their work from distance. And you have some information regarding the link of the platform, which is here, the login and the password. Our advocacy through the platform is to invite teacher training institutions, research centers, think tanks, and other institutions to partner with ICBA and use the resources of the virtual campus. By the way, I would like to precise that we are considering having a benchmark with other countries or other institutions to see how to share experience regarding platforms. The other set of actions that ICBA has taken consists in organizing webinars, and the webinars can be divided into two parts. There are webinars that ICBA is organizing alone, and which consists in inviting representatives from some countries who could come to a panel and share experiences and information related to the mechanism set in place by their respective governments in relation to teacher education, whether they use high technology, low technology, or mass media, as Boren was saying a while ago. All this to fight the effects of school closures and the effects of COVID-19 crisis. There is another set of webinars that ICBA is organizing jointly with some partners. Those partners can be the HQ, or the regional offices, or national offices, or other partners that we are in discussion with that can help us use tools to train teachers on how to use technologies to conduct distance education, both during the crisis, that is the short term, but also after the crisis. So this is very roughly what I would like to share with you. I have to precise that we have received some questionnaires, the answers of some questionnaires, and we will process them and later give you feedback on how we intend to better coordinate activities and actions between ICBA and regional and national offices. Thank you very much for your attention. Over to you, Valerie.
Yeah, thank you, Saliu. Just as Boren, your presentations have been very insightful and rich of information. They were excellent. Now we have 10 minutes for questions and answers. And then we will move to participants' introduction. We were supposed to do it at the beginning of the the webinar, but many participants were still arriving, so we will do that after the question and answer session. For this session, Binyam, the moderator, will be reading the questions, and Boren, Yumiko, and Saliu will be given the floor to answer them. Binyam, over to you.
Thank you very much, Valerie. There are a couple of questions that were raised. The first one that was raised by Sonia and Yumiko to Boren was they wanted to hear more about the global flagship on teachers, what it envisions, and how will it roll out. So that's one question to Boren. And there were two questions that were forwarded to Saliu. Saip asked, what was planned for teachers in non-formal sectors. Yumiko has already responded something on the chat, but if anything has to be added, Saliu can add as well. And then there is also a question from Julia. What resources can be found in ICBA's platform? There is also a response provided by Yumiko on that, but if there is anything could be added, Saliu can add as well. So this is it for now, and we can I can come if there are more questions later. Thank you. Over to you, Valerie.
Okay, thank you, Saliu. So I will give the floor to Boren first, and then Saliu. If colleagues have other additional questions, please, you still have 1 minute to put them online for Binyam to pick up. Boren, please, over to you.
Boren, we can't hear you. Can you unmute your mic?
Okay, so maybe Saliu will start. I will send a message to Boren.
Thank you very much, Valerie. I think Yumiko has very well responded to the question that were addressed. Maybe just precise that regarding the platform, we have just set it up and it is open. We can get some resources from you colleagues to enrich it, because the resources will be relevant if they come from the field, because you know the needs of the field better than we do. So the online platform is really open. Maybe something I would like to precise concerning the webinars is that they organize every Wednesday afternoon. Every Wednesday afternoon, IGBA plans to organize a webinar on. And for the non-formal teachers, I think Yumiko also has responded. I don't have to thank you for that. Valerie, over to you. Valerie?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you, Saliu. Binyam, are there any additional questions for IGBA?
No, there aren't any so far.
Yeah.
Probably there is one
Maybe.
which just came.
Yeah. And the one on the
No.
non-formal teachers, I'm not clear myself how IGBA has taken the non-formal teachers into account. Maybe it depends on
Can I come in?
Yes, please. Maybe it depends on government policies. In some countries, they are assimilated to other teachers. In some other countries, they are separated from the other teachers. So,
Okay, thank you very much,
Yumiko.
Valerie. Yes, there are 3 categories of teachers who are kind of underserved generally, and also by IGBA. That is non-formal teachers, Tibet teachers, and early childhood teachers. We have started early childhood teacher support thanks to Binyam's arrival in IGBA, and we are doing that quite well. Non-formal and Tibet, these are both teachers for adults, and then they have a similar techniques and strategies they will have. So this is something we have in our mind for future activities. And see who asked the question, I know that he has some expertise. We very much would like to get the expertise from regional office for the support. And Valerie, you are absolutely correct. Non-formal teacher status and realities vary so much from country to country. Maybe the first thing is for us to do a small mapping, but we would like to have regional office support and then strategic ideas and so on. Over to you.
Thank you, Yumiko. This is really interesting, and I pick up that you're talking about the need to do a mapping of how teachers are addressed by the various countries, all the categories of teachers. This is something that I will keep in my notes. Now I would like to check if Boren is online to answer the question on the flagship on teachers. Boren, over to you. Okay, so maybe he's not online. I sent him a message.
No, I'm here. I'm trying
okay.
to. I was getting lost between the Skype and the Microsoft Teams. Sorry. There were a few questions, I think, related to the global coalition. And Valerie, do you want me to take the ones that are in the chat, or you want to summarize a bit the questions?
Binyam can summarize them. He was speaking them, but it's mainly about the teacher flagship. Colleagues want you to elaborate more. They want to know what is intended for and how they can contribute. I think that's it. Binyam? please.
Yes, Valerie. Yeah, two questions basically. One on the global flagship on teachers, how it is envisaged and how it's expected to roll out. There is a second question about also the Global Education Coalition and how it is expected to, what is expected of the field offices when it rolls out in the country level. These are the two main questions.
Thank you very much. Let me start by the last question, and then I will move to the global one, if colleagues allow me. Regarding the country work, we are working on two dimensions, if I can say so. One, we have used KPD as a catalytic fund and some of the other extra budgetary to start a bit some of the actions in the concerned countries. Of course, when it is an extra budgetary, it has to refer to the country who are involved in those specific projects. So, for example, we are working on KPD countries. We have around 16 countries with a demand related to a COVID response. We are working on reorienting some of the KEFIT project that is covering 3 countries: Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. We are also looking at the NTI project. So it's more related to looking at an extra budgetary project and see how we can deploy some of the activities related to the response to COVID and negotiation. And this is done by our colleagues in the field. It's not the headquarter or regional offices are providing the backstopping and the support. We have also countries who are coming to the coalition with a specific demand. And there the action is really more, I would say, based on the articulation of the demand and mobilizing the partners. Let me give an example on Senegal, because that's at least the most advanced and the most elaborated case at this stage. So our colleagues in Dakar, Claude, Dimitri, and other colleagues, they have engaged in the dialogue with the Ministry of Education, and the demand covers different strands of work. One, amplifying the use of a platform online, which is Microsoft Teams. The second is about connectivity challenges, and the third is about teachers. So we have mobilized Microsoft for the MS Team, because in any case, that was the choice of the government. It was not our choice to offer them the MS Team. We mobilized Microsoft to work with us, and we are working with our Dakar office, ourselves and Microsoft team, together with the ministry team, to develop further the platform and ensure that more learners are enrolled in it. Then there is a teacher training component, and we are doing that through the KEFIT project. And we have deployed some of the resources for the KEFIT project for teacher training and for resources to teachers. And then there is also all this issue of connectivity and providing poor and specific target groups with equipment and devices. And now we are mobilizing Huawei to support and to provide devices and to provide equipment to marginalized population. We are also discussing with a telecom company to ensure that we have a reduction or zero rate for access to education data. So it's really a combination of different partners that the way we are delivering support to the countries, but it's really demand driven. So it has to be related to the government demand, and we are working with other agencies within the local education group, with UNICEF, but with others in this case, and Senegal probably will benefit from a GPE funding. So that's how we are working at a country level. Now, on this global flagship on teachers, there are different elements that we are discussing, and some of them, in any case, we would like to see with colleagues. But just to give you, in a way, a snapshot of what we are trying to cover, there is an aspect related to communication and advocacy, and we are doing that with through the Teacher Task Force, but also through our collaboration with Varkey Foundation. So the idea is really to put the teachers at the top of the discussion in the global coalition and in the response to COVID-19 from an education perspective. So it's really making clear and making bold the role of teachers. there is also a component related to looking at data and research related to teachers, and some of the work is being done by the teacher task force and with UIS. Some of them through the surveys that we are conducting at global level. And the question is, of course, about what we know about teachers and how we can use this data to inform the decision making. And that leads to the third piece, which is more, let me call them more evidence-based think pieces and analysis, and we hope to advance action there. The last strand is more action-oriented, that will be related to, I would say, an interplay between country and cross-countries interventions. In most of the countries where we are working, we have teacher component. We are trying to see how we can build on these teacher component to engage in more cross-countries initiatives into a global initiative. This is the work that will be discussed further, and obviously most of the colleagues will be involved in this discussion. So part of it would be really about how we connect the country work with the global initiative and bring more resources toward teacher training and teacher empowerment in the context of the global coalition. And some partners are very interested in this. Just to mention some of them, Khan Academy is interested, Moodle Foundation is interested in the work on teachers. There are other partners that are also interested in teacher training, and we are discussing with them to bring the global to the national and vice versa. I hope I responded to the questions. Back to you.
Excellent, Lauren. Excellent. It was great. You addressed all the questions. Saliu and Yumiko as well. They have been also very active on the chat. I could see that colleagues are still exchanging. We will stop this session for now. We are still UNESCO staff in the same house, so we will have plenty of opportunity to keep on exchanging and replying to your questions. I'm sure colleagues will join me for a round of applause for Boren and Saliu for their presentations. Okay.
At least it's not virtual applause.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So as announced previously, before moving to the next session, I will give an opportunity to all colleagues to introduce themselves. It is 15 seconds each for each staff, just to say your name and office. I will start with colleagues from the Abuja office. You can.
My name is I'm the head of the education program.
Can you? It was Mamadou.
Yes, Mamadou Lamine.
Please turn off your mic. Okay. The next colleagues from Abuja. Is there anybody else from Abuja? No. Okay. So now let's move to Dakar.
Hello. I am Olivier Pieux. I am TVET Program Specialist. Thank you.
Next one.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Ruscelli from UNESCO Dakar.
Hello, this is Yoshi from Dakar.
Okay, anybody else from Dakar or the national offices? I could see that David Bazongo was there. David?
Yes, I am David Bazongo. I come from Ouagadougou.
Okay, Burkina Faso.
National Project Officer, yes.
Bonjour, Saïd du bureau de Bamako.
Bonjour, qui d'autre? I think that's it for Dakar. Okay, so now we move to Harare.
Yes, hello everybody. This is Julia Hess from the Regional Office of Southern Africa.
Okay. Are you alone, or is there anybody else
Yeah.
from?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm alone.
Okay, thank you. So now let's move to Nairobi.
Hello, everyone. This is Saidu Jallo, Education Chief, Nairobi Region. I have some of my colleagues joining us. They will introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. So, where? Okay.
Another Nairobi colleague, Awol, are you on? Awol Andres? In any case, okay. We can proceed to the next office. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now Yaoundé.
Thank you, Valerie. Hello, everyone. I'm Bruno Junes of UNESCO Yaoundé office. I'm education specialist.
Are you alone, Bruno?
Yes, I'm alone.
Okay. So now we will move to IEP.
Hello, colleagues.
IEP.
This is Awal here.
My
mic was muted.
Okay, I will. Now let's move to IEP, IEP Paris and Dakar, Paul. IEP, over to you. Okay, so if nobody's there, then we can move to field of regional office in other part of the world. I could see that Bangkok was there.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
This is
Hello,
Albert.
this is Li Bing from Bangkok. Li Bing Wang from Bangkok. Happy to join this webinar, and I learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay. It must be very late for you.
No, it's not very late. It's 7 o'clock. It's just 6:41, which is not very late. But I really enjoy these presentations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else from Bangkok or Beirut or Santiago? Over to you.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Natalie from Bangkok as well, working with Li Bing. I'm joined also together with 2 interns from our same section. Excellent opportunity for us to learn. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. I could hear the voice of Albert from UNESCO Addis Ababa office, right?
Yes, Valerie, thank you very
Albert.
much. Yeah, Albert Mendy, Addis Ababa. Yes, thank you very much.
Are you alone, Albert?
I don't know if Samuel is connected, but no, I didn't see him, so I'm alone. Okay, thank you. We are following. Okay.
Okay. Back to IEP. I could see some names, but are they still online? IEP, over to you. No. Okay. So now let's move to IGBA. IGBA colleagues.
Sorry, I'm fine. It's Barbara here from IIEP.
Hi. Bye.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
IEP Paris.
Yes, and I think one of our colleagues from IIEP Pôle de Dakar is also online.
Okay. So who's the next person for IEP? No? Nobody's? Okay. So now IGBA's colleague.
Hi, Valerie. Yumiko from IGBA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Valerie
Hello.
and everyone. This is Victoria Chisache Kanabe, Senior Projects Coordinator from IGBA.
Okay. Who else?
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I am Saliu Sal, Senior Program Coordinator of IGBA. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Njora Hungi. I'm with IGBA. I'm a project officer.
Hello, colleagues. this is Biniam from ICPA. I'm also a program officer. Thank you.
And the chat moderator.
And chat moderator. Yes.
Hello, my name is Henok, IT.
Thank you so much,
Hello.
Enoch, for your support. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Risi. I'm an intern from ICPA.
Okay, welcome. I think we are done with ICPA. Now we move to HQ. We can start with the Teachers Task Force.
Good afternoon, everybody. Peter Wallet from the TTF, Teacher Task Force in Paris.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, everyone. It's Leila Lupus, also from the Teacher Task Force based in Paris. Hi,
Great.
everyone.
Hi, Leila. And our director in HQ, the director of the TED, of the unit where TED section is attached, it's Beren. I don't know if he's still online.
Merci Valérie, thank you, and good afternoon again to all colleagues. I'm very pleased to be with you today and to listen carefully to the discussion and take forward any decision we'll be taking together. Thank you.
Okay, and then the colleagues from the TED section. Over to you, colleagues. Oh, I forgot the KPD unit before going, but please, TED colleagues.
Bonjour à tous, Diane Lalancette, working on the NTI project.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Sonia from the Section for Teacher Development.
And there is me, Valerie, Valérie Dios-Gallet, program specialist at TED. And the last person is a KPD colleague.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Enrique Pinilla Martin from the CAPET team in headquarters, UNESCO Executive Office of the Education Sector.
Thank you, Enrique. So we have done the tour de table. We are quite a lot, more than expected. We are about 37 people, which is great. And yeah, we will have plenty of other opportunity to discuss and exchange together.
Hi, Valerie.
Yes, Binyam?
I think on the chat, I have colleagues from Ghana Accra office.
The NTI.
Yeah, Wesley Otto, he said he's online. Urban Okaguire from Accra office. And Prosper Niavor.
Yes, please. Yeah, please. So these 3 additional people, please take 1 second to introduce yourself. Oh, the sound is not good, and the time is moving. Okay, Prosper, we can hear you. Thank you. Next one.
Hello, this is Urban Akangwere, also from Accra office, Ghana. Thank you.
From the UNESCO office, not the NTI project office. Okay, great. Who else?
And Valerie, we have, I think, 2 colleagues from Burundi.
Yeah.
Isa and Bawa.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are moving out of time. Short of time. It's already almost 2 o'clock. Maybe we can move on, and in the end, I will give the opportunity to those colleagues to introduce themselves. What do you think? Is it Bawa?
Bawa and Isa. I think these are the last ones we have.
Okay, so please take 1 minute, Bawa, please. Sorry. And then we move to the next session. Bawa, over to you. Bawa, c'est pour toi. Tu peux te présenter. Okay, so maybe in the end. So if you agree, we will move to the next session, and in the end, we will give 1 minute to colleagues from Burundi to introduce themselves. So now we are moving to the session where regional offices will present on their priorities and areas or tools on which they think joint work is needed. We have 5 regional offices in Africa. This is part of the field office reform. We have one in Abuja, one in Dakar, one in Nairobi, and Yaoundé and Harare. We will start with Abuja. Each presenter will have 5 minutes maximum, and we will have to cut the presentation if it's too long. So please make sure that you stick to the time. As I said, this is a webinar, but we will have several other webinars, and we can discuss via email on a daily basis if we need so. So please, Mamadou Lavin, over to you.
Okay.
Sorry, Lavin. The sound of your microphone is not is terrible. Can you, Julien? Hello, Mamadou?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's very noisy from my side. I don't know what happened. So perhaps you can just display my PowerPoint. Hello?
It's really difficult. It's very noisy. Maybe Enoch, is there any advice that you could provide when this happened? Enoch or Julien? No?
It looks like there's an echo. Maybe there's a speaker he might need to switch off. I don't think it's just a connection.
Yeah. Mamadou Labine, it happens in another webinar. It's because the speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Maybe you have a double connection. Let us switch to the next speaker while Mamadou Lamine is trying to fix that issue. Please check that you haven't opened 2 Teams sessions. You have to close the Teams session and open only one, and I will come back to you later. I understand that Harare has some constraints, so Harare will speak now. Julia, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Valerie. I don't have a presentation because I joined this meeting a little ad hoc. Caroline is on leave, and I heard about it just now. So I spontaneously thought I'd give you a quick overview on what we are doing in our region, Southern African region. So regionally, we work very closely with the SADC Secretariat, and we have developed regional teacher standards, which are more guidelines for developing then national teacher standards. And now we have developed as a second regional document, a continuous professional development framework, which is in draft form. We wanted to have that ready this month to be presented at the ministerial meeting of the SADC ministers, who should have met in June this year. But of course, now everything is sort of postponed. but the regional framework should be ready soonest. That's for the regional level. And then we have some specific initiatives in our region targeting teachers. We have a CAP ED project in Zambia, under which we just finalized a national CPD framework and national teacher standards, nicely printed documents, which you can find on our website. We have the NTI project in Malawi, which has now, which implementation we have to accelerate now, and that's why ICPA is going to be involved. And then we have quite a number of teacher education initiatives on specific issues. We have a big project funded by Swedish SIDA on ESD, targeting teacher education institutions. We have a teacher education program on GCD, and we had a couple of initiatives on ICT and education targeting teachers. The KIFID project, which ended last week, but then also the CIFID Chinese funded project in Namibia and in Zambia. Then with regard to COVID-19, we just concluded a joint statement with the SADC Secretariat on how we are supporting SADC countries on an education response to COVID. This includes developing distance learning modalities, rolling out education information through education systems, especially under the O3 project. But then also one pillar is clearly teachers and supporting teachers. So that's a plea to ICPA that we have some ideas. We have national platforms that we can use, and we have developed under other projects to support teachers with materials, but also with chat rooms. But there are many other things we would like to do, and would like to do that in collaboration with ICPA as well. We also plan to build on some of the ICT and education projects I just mentioned before, because they have developed training platforms with resources already, and we would like to convert them, just as you do with the ICPA platform, to be used to for teachers. The big request we have once we go at national level from countries is always to tailor down materials, tailor down teacher capacity building to national curricula. If we just send them generic materials and generic teacher education programs, countries don't seem to be happy with that. I had mentioned that also in the chat room. So we need ICPA to help us roll out the COVID response. There's one concrete request I have, because it came up only during the last 2 days. In Zimbabwe, we will receive GPE funding, 10 millions. There should be a focus on
Julia, you have one more minute to go. One more minute.
Okay, that's the last thing, you sort of request to ICPA concretely. So we receive 10 million GPE funds for COVID response. A focus is on teachers. A proposal should be developed early May, and if we want to be part of that, we need ICPA's support. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. There are questions for you in the chat. You will be given the floor later.
Sorry, I unfortunately have to leave. I'm sorry, Valerie. I have another chat call. Yeah.
So sorry, we will send them to you later, because now we are moving to the next presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and good day. The next presenter will be Yaoundé. Bruno, over to you.
Nairobi. Merci Valérie. Sauf que nous n'avions pas été prévenus, on a préparé l'exposé en français.
On ne peut pas faire l'impossible. On va présenter ce que vous avez préparé. Peut-être. Est-ce que c'est possible pour toi de résumer en anglais ce qui est sur le slide en français? C'est possible?
Oui, bien sûr. Bien sûr. Je ne sais pas si vous voyez.
Oui, on voit très bien. Merci.
Ben voilà, si vous voyez bien, c'est que ça va. Là, je peux résumer une fois en français pour dire tout simplement que nous, on va compared to Yaoundé's contribution, we start from three major findings in Central Africa. The education system of the sub-region are not prepared to ensure pedagogical continuity in such a context which is neither linked to an armed conflict, nor to a natural disaster, whether in the formal or in the non-formal education. Secondly, where there is a glaring inequality of access to existing distance learning portals, especially in rural areas and for vulnerable people. And third, several countries in the sub-region do not have a legal framework for distance education in Africa. Regarding the priorities and area or tools on which joint work is needed, we think that they can be based on the following axes. First, capacity building of education system to ensure pedagogical continuity in times of crisis through the activity of development of teacher training tools on digital pedagogy, including the production of digital pedagogical resources via alternative form of teaching, radio, TV, internet platform, and social media, social network. Second, establishment of a common in-service teacher training platform in Central Africa, probably with the support of IGBA. And third, establishment of a legal framework on distance education in Central Africa. Sub-regional organizations like CEMAC or CESA will be strategic partner. These are some joint priority on which we think we can work together to work on them. But you have a UNESCO presentation, UNESCO office presentation around there.
Thank you so much, Bruno. Okay. Thank you. We are lucky with you. We have a presentation in French and the translation and the presentation into English. Thank you. Mm-hmm. The next office will be Nairobi.
Can you see if I'm back?
Okay, Valerie.
Yeah.
Do we proceed with Nairobi or?
Yes, please. Over to you, Saidu.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 5 minutes and okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I'm sorry I don't have a presentation here, but if one is needed, we could prepare one and send you. But I would share with you what we are doing and how we intend to support teachers. I would situate our activities or reflections over the past couple of months on the support of teachers within the broader Eastern and Southern Africa response to COVID. We have engaged several partners, technical, financial, UN agencies, ADEA, African Union Congress, African Union Commission, GPE, IGAD, and others, many others, for a reflection exercise, which we did early April, actually on the 1st of April, and on how we are going to respond to the COVID virus as a region. We identified at that meeting 9 clusters rather, where work needs to be done in order to continue to deliver education to the children while during the school closures. Now, one of of course, these 9 clusters range from strengthening teacher professional development and training on use of open and distance learning platforms, technology, through to digitization of curriculum and uploading, development of ODL and remote learning platforms, right through to strengthening capacity of university professors, a faculty on AI, psychosocial support to children and young people, and so on. The idea there is to look at, in broad terms, what needs to be done at the regional level. So we had moved on from there. All the partners had, of course, the other technology partners were key as well. Microsoft, Huawei, World Reader, and a few others who are not necessarily found in Africa here are all part of these meetings, exchanges. So we have, of these 9 clusters, you recall I mentioned something about standard teacher professional development and training on the use of open and distance learning tools. So within that, because I'll zero in on that one because we are looking at teachers at the moment, but with that, we had held subsequent webinars with IGBA, of course, very closely with IGBA and the IITE, our Institute for Information Technology in Education based in Moscow. We are working with these two and have identified areas on how to support and how to move it down to country level. I think even just yesterday we had a few meetings there. Let me just refer to some of the, we agreed at the level of IGBA, IITE, Nairobi, that we would be looking at, we agreed rather that IGBA to take the lead of this, the teacher cluster and interventions for teacher training and capacity building to map out who does what, where, when, and how. Right to a priority in training and capacity building to be given to teachers at primary and secondary levels in order to benefit the majority of teachers and learners. There are more. We have more of them there. The training will focus on how teachers can also use low-end tools such as national, private, and community radio, low bandwidth internet packages, full-blown online tools, right through to the more sophisticated tools like cloud and all these other high-end technology tools. So we had agreed to move to ensure, to make sure that this teacher cluster would spread across to cover the whole of sub-Saharan Africa and ideally at some point the whole of the continent, because we're working with the AUC who tend to cover even in Northern Africa as part of the Africa continent. But as the way forward to bring it down to the country level, we intend to arrange a ministerial virtual meeting to identify country needs and secure political buy-in. It's important that the interventions are relevant to the needs of the countries and their political buy-in. We are expecting that each regional office would identify a focal point for a teacher cluster. A memo had already gone out to the regional directors and they are responding to this. They have submitted names who will be part of this teacher cluster. Each regional office to identify 4 countries that will be ready to enroll the training of teachers. Of course, working very closely with IGBA there as well. But 4 countries to start with so that we move on. Given that it's emergency, we don't have to wait to say develop an infrastructure where the infrastructure doesn't exist or doesn't extend. There are other strategies to cover gaps where the gaps exist. But for those countries that have it, we'll start on with them. Already, like I said, the director had written to the 4 other regional directors to identify persons. And for Nairobi, this is the last point actually.
1 more minute.
No, in fact, less than 1 minute, basically. What I want to add is that Nairobi has gone ahead and chosen the 4 countries to start with Kenya, Mauritius, Rwanda, and Seychelles. So we'll be continuing to engage IGBA, IITE, and other partners as we go on supporting teachers to deliver education during this period. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Valérie.
Yeah, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Saïdou. This is really interesting. And for me, at least, it's also new. I was not aware of that, and I suppose other colleagues are in the same situation. The PowerPoint presentation were not compulsory. I have listened very carefully to what you said, and I'm really interested to know more. I will tell the same thing to Julia. Maybe after this webinar, you can send us a short email with an overview of what you've just presented, and we will share with all colleagues. Saïdou, I hope you can do that.
Yes, that's no problem at all. We'll do that and share.
Thank
Actually, the
you.
regional directors of Africa are aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
But we, the staff of the community of practice, we also need to know about it.
No problem. It's my pleasure. It's our pleasure to share with you what we I just presented. Okay.
Yes,
thank you very much.
You. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye. Now I will give the floor to Dakar office. Dakar, over to you.
Hello, Valérie. Merci. I will speak on behalf of Claude. I'll bring his apologies as he is in another meeting at the moment regarding the office response to the COVID-19 crisis. Unfortunately, I also don't have a presentation, and I will give a quick overview of the main priorities and opportunities for collaboration. Then more detailed answers have been sent through the questionnaires, and we are also open to provide more details if need be. So in terms of priorities and ongoing activities, we do have few initiatives that are continuing from the past biennium and some starting right now. One of the main priorities is to conclude the regional study on the status of quality assurance mechanisms in pre-service teacher training of basic education teachers, and this concerns 4 Francophone countries under Dakar, Burkina, Senegal, Mali, and Niger. Then we have 2 other initiatives at national level, strengthening teachers' capacities to assess 21st century skills in the Gambia, and this activities is due to end soon, and 21st century skills or transversal competencies. Then we have an activities on teacher training on preventing violent extremism. This builds on the teacher's guide developed by ICBA on PDE, and the implementation part is led by the office. Currently, of course, this activity has been disrupted due to the crisis, but consultants are doing some desk work. And of course, we have also some new initiatives due to start, but they have been currently postponed. One is on the supporting member state in strengthening teachers' capacity to use formative assessment to boost learning. And another one is, and I saw that also Yaoundé mentioned in the presentation, the EU G5 Sahel, and this concerns 3 countries under Dakar. In terms of opportunities for collaboration, some activities are planned within the framework of talent, and as you know, the Secretariat is based here in Dakar, and ICBA and all the regional offices are still currently actively participating, that they all did during the past biennium and before. So one of the activities, we have 4 activities mainly that I think is worth mentioning here. One is the communication and review of progress on the target 4C as part of the coordination in Western Central Africa. Another one is the development of a joint advocacy paper on pre-primary teachers at regional level. Then we, of course, have the continuation of the strengthening teachers' capacity to teach and assess transversal competencies. The work is going to end soon in DRC and Zambia, but we've received some requests, notably from Côte d'Ivoire and other countries, to support them in this area. And finally, a work that started last year with ICBA and kind of continued on the development of pedagogical material to use formative assessment in the framework of assessment as learning. And But these activities, of course, are all kind of on halt due to the crisis. I won't go into details of our support to member states, as Boren has already very well presented the office response and the support we are providing to Senegal. But I just wanted to give a quick feedback on the most urgent need, which is to find support and already existing examples of course content for the training of trainers and teachers in pedagogical approaches, and proven methods of encrypting distance learning modules, and as well as learning assessment and end of a year high-stakes exams. Another urgent need is the organization and management of educational resources that also looks at radio, television, and other ICT assisted learning. As Boren said, there are several tools that can be used. I just wanted to briefly mention also that at regional level, we have been participating in the coordinated response with partners. A special coordination unit has been set up by the regional coordination group of SDG 4 and the regional education cluster for education in emergencies. And 3 subgroups have been created on coordination, data monitoring, and one where I actively participate on learning and resources. The first meeting happened just last week, but the key points discussed are in line with what I just said in terms of really kind of coordinate and organize the existing resources, how to adapt them to the region, and particularly how to support teachers to provide psychosocial support to students, but as well as to them, to how to provide psychosocial support to teachers, and how to monitoring that learning is actually ongoing. I think I've exhausted my time, but I haven't mentioned Burkina.
I confirm. I confirm.
Thank you, Valerie. But you know, there are Burkina, Mali, the colleagues are here. I'm not sure if they can add anything, but there's activities ongoing there as well.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Davide. The purpose of the presentation were not to present the overview of the activities, but rather to present your analysis of the priorities and areas where joint work would be needed. So if colleagues have additional input, they can put them in the chat. Now, the last presenter would be Abuja for 5 minutes. Mamadou Lamine, we are running late. But
okay, thank you, Valerie.
Yeah.
And thank you to ICBA for giving us this opportunity. I think this is a good learning and sharing platform. So basically what I did is just to come back to the question that you asked us to respond regarding basically the current activities that we are undertaking within the region, and where we need joint intervention, you know, with ICBA and perhaps with the teacher division in Paris. So we have been, and still we are really working with our member countries, some of them like Guinea, Benin, Togo, and Nigeria, to finalize, you know, their national teacher policies and plans. And these countries are in different phases. For example, Benin, they have already finished developing the national teacher training policy. We were about to work with them and do the costing when this pandemic started. And in Guinea, they were about to finalize, you know, the national consultations to make sure that all stakeholders are in line with what has been proposed in the national teacher training policy. For Nigeria, the teacher career advancement path has been already adopted. So at this point, we think that we may need the collaboration of ICBA Paris just to help finalize, even virtually, those processes, especially in Guinea, and do the costing for Benin, the national teacher training policy costing. And now, what are the emerging needs of our countries regarding the eruption of the COVID-19? We want to, you know, capitalize on the gains that we made under the CFIT and KPD programs to help countries, address the continuity of education, because right now this is what have been expressed as need from all the countries, is how to help them put, online or other virtual platforms to help teachers continue, delivering teaching and also monitoring, especially monitoring and assessing learning outcomes, coming from students, because really that is key and very important. And also to reinforce the capacities of core master trainers in each country, on distance learning techniques and evaluation. That's really a key priority during this time. But also to reinforce teacher capacities in the conception and digitation of pedagogical resources, for distance learning, because either it is through radio, television, or mass media communication means, I think this is really something timely that we have to do now in the short term, but also in the longer term, because more and more we'll be expecting those kind of crises. And also to develop material and tools that can help teachers conduct virtual assessment of student learning outcome. This is very important, and I think we can really work with ICBA and Paris to help those develop very user-friendly, simple tools that can be made accessible to teachers to help them conduct the learning assessment, from remote platforms, because otherwise we will conduct teaching and learning activities, but we won't be able to monitor, what students are effectively learning. So this is very important. And also, as concerning the resources that we have currently, we have 50 experts, both francophones and anglophones, that can support teachers to develop online courses for all levels of educational institutions, ranging from primary to secondary, going through TVET to higher education. Those have been strengthened by UNESCO. This network can really help the different countries, and we have the names, the contact of all those 50 experts. And also we have 2 virtual universities, Cote d'Ivoire and the National Open University of Nigeria. And there is a strong demand today from Ghana, from the presidency, the Ministry of Education, that UNESCO can help them even establish their virtual university as well. So I think we have relayed even that demand to Paris. If that is not done yet, we will do it perhaps even today or tomorrow, because
Mamadou Lamine, please,
yes.
You have 1 last minute.
Okay. So last thing that I would like to see is that a global regional e-learning platform should be established right now that can accommodate the delivery and the production of all types of online teaching materials. And secondly, we would like really to collaborate with you on the development of an e-learning module in different languages that can address both the preparation, digitation, and delivery of e-learning courses, along with a continuous learning assessment. And finally, something which is very important, I think we all the time focus on in-service teacher training, but it is very important for us to think on how to have a distance learning techniques or e-learning module to be included in the curriculum of pre-service teacher training colleges, so that master students who graduate from those schools are already equipped when they are hired to be teachers. And finally, last but not least, I think that is related to something different. In this region, we have almost sometimes up to 30% of community or volunteer teachers, especially in basic education. So we need also to know how ICBA would like to help, address the needs of those teachers. I know, for example, in Liberia, they are up to 28% of the teaching force. So this is really a phenomenon that is very prevalent in our region, so we don't overlook it, because we cannot replace those teachers overnight, but still they don't have the prerequisites, pre-service teacher training, they don't have the certification. So we need to think of how really to build their capacities, to motivate them, and in the longer term, hire them as civil servants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mamadou Lamine. The time is short, but still we will take one round of questions. Binyam, if you have questions that have not been answered in the chat, can you please read them?
Thank you, Valerie. Basically, two questions. Most of them were comments or they were responded on the chat. One question is from Peter, and his question is to all the regional offices. He wants to know, in light of COVID-19, are there known examples where contact teachers have been negatively affected? Loss of positions and salaries not yet paid. So this is one question that Yumiko have already responded on behalf of ICBA, but if regional offices have some comments, they are welcome. The second question is from Saip. He has a specific question, I guess, to David or Yoshie from Dakar, and I'll read the question. Est-ce que Talent prévoit d'appuyer les pays dans l'élaboration d'un dispositif de suivi et d'évaluation pour les pays en s'attend où c'est la continuité des apprentissages à travers les TIC et les médias de masse? So these are the two questions that were not responded to. Thank you, Valerie.
Can I address the first one? Okay, thanks.
Who's speaking?
It's Lamin.
Yes. Half a minute, please.
Yeah, okay. I wanted just to try and address the first question on how this crisis is affecting or could affect, the payment of teacher salaries. In our region, I think you should all know, salaries are paid at the districts or at a district level or at certain points. And usually what they do, master teachers have to travel from their schools or across a school to those designated points, to get and then go back and pay salaries. Being now that transportations are not fluid, most of the countries are locked down. So this is really a serious issue. We will experience that perhaps in the days or weeks to come.
Thank you very much, Mamadou Lamine. We are really behind on the schedule. Binyam, as you mentioned, most questions have been already answered in the chat. There are two remaining questions. Colleagues I will really ask colleagues to exchange through emails for these two questions. So it's Peter and Saip. For Peter, anybody can respond, but for Saip's question, it's really talent in Dakar who can respond. You have the list of the participants. You can copy all the participants in your response. So please, I would like for us to move to the last session, which is quite important. It's about the next steps and the closing remarks. I have sent a document to Enoch. Enoch, can you please? I hope you received it. Can you please?
Yes, I have it. It's let me display it now.
Okay, thank you. On this document, I collected some of the priority areas for work that came out of the presentations and the discussions. The last one that Mamadou Lamine raised is not there, but it is an important one. How teacher salaries are being paid. So these are the points that came out. The first priority area is the strengthening of capacities of education systems. to ensure educational continuity in times of crisis. The second one is the development of teacher training tools on digital pedagogy, and also how to use radio, television, internet, and social platform and networks. The third one is the establishment of a common platform for in-service teacher training in Central Africa, or something broader for the whole region. The fourth one is the establishment of a legal framework on distance education. This proposal comes from Central Africa, but other sub-regions may also need a legal framework in that area. The fifth one is dealing with end-of-year exams. There have been a webinar for experience sharing between countries. It was organized by HQ. Maybe this is an issue that can be addressed in the next webinar that IGBA will be preparing, but we can do maybe more than just webinars. And the last point is monitoring the impact of the COVID-19 crisis on teachers, on contract teachers particularly. There is a fear that they will be more impacted with their contract not being renewed. There is also, some colleagues have presented the expertise they have and that they could share with other colleagues in other offices. There is also the issue of having ICT in initial teacher training. I believe you all know that UNESCO, ED sector and the science sectors have been working on a kind of referential, but maybe we need to do more on this area. And the issue of assessment of e-learning. As Boren mentioned it, it is an issue for many countries. They are doing distance lessons, but they don't know how to assess what has been learned by pupils. So these are the areas that are coming out from our discussion. I would like to give the floor to Yumiko, Boren, if they have anything to add.
Boren, would you like to go ahead?
Well, can I go ahead?
Who's speaking?
Yeah, this is Polycarp.
No, can you please wait? First, it will be.
Okay, sure.
Yes, then I will give you the floor. Yumiko, anything to add here?
And this shows that we need to communicate continuously, and the learning assessment. We have made and as Abuja office requested, we will try to bring about a tool for teachers to be used, a very practical tool. That's all. Over to you.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding is that this is for all of us. We have to reflect how we will address these needs, which one are beyond our capacities, and which one we can really say we can do something about it. You know that we have the flagship on teachers. We also have to look at these priority areas in light of the teacher flagship. Maybe some of these could be taken on board in the teacher flagship, especially if they are relevant for many countries. Policarpo want to take the floor, but before that, I will check if Boren has something to say. Boren, over to you. Okay, so Policarpo, please, 1 minute.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, sorry, I miscalculated the time, so I joined in late. So maybe something that I'm going to say may have been said before. But having listened to the priorities that have been listed, I think first we need to expand the e-learning assessment and just talk about assessment of distance learning, because not everybody is learning on e-platform, and as you may have had experiences from parents, everybody is struggling to know whether the kids they are taking care of are learning. The second thing is you may be aware of the guidance that IIP has provided, and speaking on specifically on teachers, is on education curriculum. And one of the highlights is how do we make curriculum practical after the crisis? And this has to happen within the crisis. So how do we build capacity of teachers to kind of come up with an accelerated curriculum? We don't know how long this situation is going to remain. Looking at the numbers that are coming from Africa, we are not peaking yet. So it means that a bigger chunk of the academic session could still be spent at home. So once schools resume, teachers would need to have kind of accelerated curriculum to cover what had to be covered during the year.
Okay, thank you so much, Policarpo. What you're saying is right. I did a review of all the guidelines and tools that we've produced in the past. And when you look at them, they are very good, but still in this particular situation, it's difficult to use them because people cannot gather, people cannot move, yeah. So we have to rethink as well how we are planning for the future, and maybe some of our publications and tools have to be reviewed in light of the current this new normal.
Yeah. So these guidelines,
yeah.
I'm saying, were shared, I think, 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure everybody have seen that. Can you please send us the link either in the chat or?
I'm happy to share these guidelines, and they're supposed to be used by the regional and in-country officers to support the players within the sector to facilitate all this.
Thank you, Policarpo. So, colleagues, before I give the floor to Yumiko for the closing remarks, I should like to stress that we have set up a platform on Intranet for us, the community of practice and teachers. On that platform, you will get all the materials from today's webinar, plus additional things. I will send you the links. We also have a space in Teams to do collaborative work. So I will send all the details to you via emails, and you can come back to me if you have any questions. I've been very pleased to be the chair of this session, and I thank you all for your valuable input and for keeping as much as possible to the schedule. And I can see that the chat has been very lively. I will give the floor to Yumiko for the...
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I think some of us have another meeting afterwards, so I'll be very brief. But thank you very much for excellent chair. We started a few minutes late, and then we are closing probably 20 minutes late. But it shows that how eager we were. And thank you very much for all the ideas. We have been doing a lot, but the needs are greater, so we have to work even harder. I would like to suggest that we had a lot of information and we need more. So I would like to suggest a second webinar in 10 days to 14 days. So what I would like to suggest that we will send you the write-up of this meeting very briefly and to all the participants. And then also those regions which haven't sent us the questionnaire, please do so. That will also be shared together, and that will give us enough to think about what are the most immediate needs and then what are the information you would like to have. In this way, our interaction will be more effective and more practical. So that's what I would like to suggest. But I think it was a very good occasion for regional offices and headquarters and ECBA to share the landscape. And this has given us a good deal of mapping. So I am grateful for all the participation. And finally, this will lead to face-to-face in after COVID in Addis Ababa. So let us hope that they will come very soon. But meanwhile, we'll be meeting on a virtual way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Yumiko. Before you all leave, I forgot TTF colleague Peter has something to announce. It's only 1 minute. Peter, please. Peter or Leila? Okay. So, in fact, maybe I will say something. TTF is organizing, the TTF is Teacher Task Force, will be organizing a consultation of member state of its countries, focal points to know what are the needs. And TTF will make sure that UNESCO offices can join that consultation. So
hi, Valerie.
look at your
sorry,
great, Peter.
Sorry, yeah. Well, we're still discussing with the steering committee of the teacher task force, but it's something that we want to put on the table. So I just want to send a cautionary note. But the idea is to get information from member states and to better understand the needs. And so thank you for that.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, so the webinar is finished. As Yumiko said, thank you to all the speakers. Now the floor is open or closed. Anybody can talk to who they want, and the others can leave. Please stay safe, everybody, and I wish you a nice day.
Bye-bye. Thank you to all.
Buren, you are here?
Bye.
It's okay. It's okay.
So we call you. If you want to say something in the end, now.
No. It's okay. I think we are done. It's good. It's good. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you very much.